In today's trade recap, I'm going to share with you how I used Anchored VWAP, price pinch, and finding acceleration off of Anchored VWAP to find an entry today, since it was kind of just up only, like finding all-time highs all day. And it was a little bit hard to enter if you felt like you weren't already in a position and maybe were experiencing a little bit of FOMO. So I'm going to share with you today how to find an entry in an uptrending market. Or a trending market in general. It could be a downtrend as well, and you could use the same idea. So first trade I took was actually a loss, so I'll walk you through that, and then I'm going to explain the Anchored VWAP price pinch that allowed me to get into a good position later today. So my first trade was an initial balance failed auction idea. When I did this on stream, I did it live, I was a little bit nervous about it because we were making all-time highs, and I don't like to short all-time highs, but it was within my failed auction strategy, so I did take the short. So what happened was, this was the previous London high over here. Price came up and grabbed that liquidity right here and had a pretty strong rejection. And then it ended up closing back below the initial balance high. So I did take a short. Price never really went down. Like, sellers did not take control. So ended up getting stopped out of that position. I could have killed the position a little bit earlier and got out, but I did want to go ahead and let it play out. So I did and got stopped out. This second position, so at this point, we had a really strong bounce off of VWAP, and it just continued to trend up, and I kind of felt like I had missed the trend and missed the trade, but I stayed patient. So what I did, you can see here, this light blue line is the Anchored New York VWAP, and that is where this really strong bounce came off of. So I put in another anchor right on the bounce, this candle bounce. And what we did there is we started to consolidate and chop around at this Anchored VWAP, which is where we accelerated off from. And I also put in another VWAP at the previous high. At the time of this price action, this was the high of the day. And you can see we were pinching between these two. And what this shows you is anyone who bought in this position right here, from this position, this was where their average price and volume was. So if buyers were going to defend their position, then we would go up from here. If not, if they were going to close out their position, then we would likely fall down in price from here. So you can see here, we had a strong acceleration in price off of this VWAP. And once we crossed over the high of day Anchored VWAP, that's when I entered my position. So I felt like I was really patient and I found a good price. From that point, we didn't have any structure. There was no support overhead. So really I just looked at Bookmap and I saw that we had orders in this 22,640 to 650 region right around here. So I kind of scaled out my position here. And then we had a large amount of orders at 675. So that's where I had my final target set. And I just trailed my stop loss up. So I took about half off between 640 and 645, and then I got fully out at 675. So ended up finding about 61 points altogether off of that trade. So that's how I used Anchored VWAP today, namely the high of day Anchored VWAP. Once we broke that trend, I entered along, and I used the acceleration bounce off of VWAP to see where we were pinching in price. And just find a good entry. So hopefully that helps you guys. Have a great day.